Are you fishermen? Have you been out on the sea, or have you done that bit of research?
Michael Crummy has been out at the sea. I can testify to that, because I took him out there. We almost didn't make it back.
Well, out of the blue, a number of years ago, for example, I got an email asking if I would be interested in coming to Japan to give a talk on the Irish influence on Newfoundland literature. And I have no idea how they got my name or my email address. I have no idea why they thought I might have anything to say on the subject. I mean, what I know about the Irish influence on Newfoundland literature amounts to what at home we would refer to as sweet fuck all. But there was no way I was skipping a free trip to Japan.
Stuffy protocol, heavy stuff. We finally managed to get to this sacred mountain called Taishan. And my brother and I had so much, I was 16, he was 18. So much energy built up in us that we, ran up the mountain and didn't wait for my father, and then ran down, jumping off these stone steps the whole way. And that night at the hotel, we had injured ourselves, and then by the next morning, we could barely walk. And so my father wasn't happy, wasn't impressed. He pulled us aside as we were stumbling about to some tourist monument or something and said, boys, the Chinese have long perceived Westerners as barbarians, don't give them reason to. So irreverent youngsters.
So the next morning I wake up, and I'm radiating my New York Times best-sellingness. And before we went to bed, I asked my husband, have you ever slept with a New York Times best-selling author before? The answer better be no. But and I sort of walked my husband is Mr. Dawn Riser. So I walk down the stairs. I'm like, here I am, the authoress, and I stand there in the kitchen, and my husband says, oh good, you're up, the cat's litter needs changing. And I thought, does John Grisham change his own cat litter? I think not. So that's the glamorous life of the author.
I would just recommend to, if you have a chance to go out in a boat with Michael Winter, don't.
And the emblem of the Newfoundland Regiment, in fact, is a caribou. But the caribou has adopted this posture from a photograph that was taken in the west coast of Newfoundland in the 1890s. And it was called The Monarch of the Topsails. It was a photograph by a Newfoundland photographer, and it was a silhouette of a caribou. But it's an exact mirror of Edwin Landseer's The Monarch of the Glen from the 1850s. So the photographer was making a homage to Edwin Landseer's stag with his photograph of the caribou, which became the image of the Newfoundland Regiment, which was then distorted by a sculptor who had never seen a caribou, which all originated from Edwin Landseer, who had never seen a lion when he made the Trafalgar Square Monument. So that's the kind of book I wrote.
This very curious intimacy develops between us and the stars that we admire. So we do think we know them. If we have our favorite actors or our favorite musicians or performers, there is this crazy sense that we know them intimately. And that's because if they're very good artists, they actually share their soul and their thoughts and their dreams with us.
But the first prize was $300, and this was back in 1980.
Big money.
Yeah, it gave me the mistaken impression that there was money there in poetry.
That's
and he's bad in a car, but in a boat. Michael actually, when Michael bought the place next to mine in Western Bay, he was coming down every summer to work on the house, and every summer, without fail, he would have some kind of near-death experience. And we're talking near-death experience. Like, he has almost killed himself several times. The famous one was falling into a, what do you call those things?
An incinerator.
An incinerator.